ma'am, if you could just start with an introduction about yourself, and then
I am Jayashree Ratan, and I'm the founder of Saaisha India Foundation, and I have been right from a very young age. I have always been leaning towards social service. And because I had a grand aunt who was a great social worker, and she wasn't very well educated. She was just a high school in those days of the early 70s or even late 60s. And but I was amazed by the way she used to work, and I had always, as a result, I had helped when I was in my younger school days. I have been in NCC, NSS, Social Service League. And then I used to do a lot of work for the Mercy Home. I don't know if you know that. It is all in Chennai. The Mercy Home, the Little Sisters of the Poor. There's Little Sisters of the Poor is a place run by nuns for the aged. And they have branches all over. I think they have one in Bangalore too.
Yes, I've actually visited there. I did do some service with them for a year.
Yeah. So I used to do that when I was in college too. And we used to practically go door to door begging, They would accept even a rupee in those days as donations. And I've done that. And I've also worked with YWCA, Young Women's Association. And it's always been there. It's there in the back. It's there with me. It's a part of me. And later on in life, it's all during the same period. I've also been in the Sai Seva organizations, the Satya Sai Seva organizations, where I was one of the youth. I was in the youth cadre for them. That's called the Seva Dal. And we've been working like that. And even that was in my youth. And as I grew up and I got married and I was working in a bank, even there, I prefer to work at the front desk and not at the back. And I've given up a lot of my promotions because I wanted to be with people. I like to be with people. I'm not one at the back. Even today, that's when my husband tells me, you're okay with the phone, but if anybody tells you to write something, you're flummoxed. You just don't know what to do. I'm stuck. So that's how. And that's it. That's my introduction, I would say. I've been a what do you call that stone that gathers no moss, because I've been all over the country and seen all over the places, and I realized how we need to help. That's been in my blood. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's a wonderful introduction, and honestly, it's so inspiring that you've really had that since the youth, and most of our audience is actually teenagers, so it's quite inspiring to hear that you can cultivate that habit from such a young age.
Yeah, we have to. One second, I'll just need to put my phone on silent because
sure.
To sort of, it keeps ringing now. Nowadays, it's just there's no stopping my phone from.
I think once it starts, it doesn't end.
I'm stuck, Raisha.
Oh, no problem, ma'am. Don't worry. All my moral support is with you.
I'm not able to get my phone to go back.
If it's an iPhone, it would have a ring.
It wouldn't come.
Oh.
I got it. Yeah.
I'll put mine off then. I didn't realize.
Because I get a lot of calls through and through. They keep coming.
Right.
And now with this awareness week going on throughout the month, it
is Pinktober. So
I have been right from 8 a.m. I've been on the phone, and I've already.
So thank you so much for then, coming.
Yeah, tell me, Raisha. I love talking to young ones. Yeah, young girls are wonderful.
So my first question is just your story behind Saaisha and what really inspired you to create Saaisha.
See, as I told you, my introduction has been that I am sort of a word. And it so happens that I shuttle between the US and India because of some other, I used to be 6 months in the US. And there I used to find it pretty boring sitting in the house doing nothing. And I picked up, YouTube and crochet and knitting and all that sort of thing. And I used to volunteer for whatever donations that used to come. They used to ask for scarves or caps or something like that. And I had come across the knitted knockers. I've seen their knockers. It was a very amazing concept that you knit something and give it to the cancer patients and it's free. And it was something, it was very amazing to see the form of the knocker. That was, it was so real that I thought, oh my God, this is unbelievable. How could somebody create something which looks so much like a breast?
Right.
And I did make a couple of them and I gave it to them, a few, not maybe a little more than a couple. But then in 2018, on one of my trips back to India, we went to a New Year's party of my daughter-in-law's aunt. And she had gone through a mastectomy about 4 months ago, back in 2018. And then I came to know of it and I asked her, what do you use? She said, nothing. I just roll up a dupatta or a handkerchief and I use it. I said, this is what is there in the US. And I have given this to a few people. So how would you like to, knitted one, how would you like to, this is what that was like, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is a crocheted one. I said, how would you like to use one and see? And then she said, I mean, she was okay. She said, no problem, because I have never seen anything and nobody's ever heard of it, right? Then immediately I came home, I knitted a couple of them and I gave it to her. And this took about 3-4 days. And the next day I get a call back from her saying, she was literally in tears. She said, Jayashree, this is so wonderful. Why don't you think of making this for the others? I said, yeah, but that is a little too much, because I can understand making it for one person, but others, I said, yeah, it's a good idea. Let me see about it, because I wouldn't know how to go on it. Then I met a couple of my friends. We got together and we were actually, out of this, one was been a very close friend of mine for more than 20 years. The other was a friend whom I acquired through one of her Guinness records.
Okay, wow.
I am also a Guinness record holder. And she was, yeah, we did a Guinness record of blankets, the largest blanket. This was in 2015. And
wow.
she too, and that's how I got to know. I asked her, and she said, yeah, it's a good idea, Jayashree, we can try it out, I mean, we were 3 ladies who got into this saying, yeah, we can try it out. So then what I did was I signed up, I looked up to I said, yeah, he said, yeah, we can try it out. I said, is it going to work? I said, let's do it. I mean, I was one who would just try anything at all for the heck of it, for the fun of it, If it works, if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So that's how we started this. And I signed up with the knitted knockers. I looked up the knitted knockers. I said, this is something I like, the principles of the working, that volunteers buy their own yarn and make it and give it, and we give it free. So they also agreed with it. So I looked up the knitted knockers and I signed up with them as one of their providers in India. And that's how we started. And this is a knitted one.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And you're right, it's so realistic and looks
it's so real.
Also.
Unimaginable that you can make something like this.
Yeah, really. So, I mean, I love that attitude of, like, let's just try it, let's see how it goes. But what was probably the first initial challenges of, setting up?
That was, we set it up, we opened it up, we signed up with the knitted knockers. Then the challenges started one by one. Okay. First and foremost was the knitted knockers had specific yarn, cotton yarn, 100% mercerized cotton. And that was a big challenge. It still is a challenge. It continues to be a challenge of getting the right type of yarn, because we wanted 100% cotton. And I found that what was available in the market was too twisted and too rough. So I had a lot of R&D to be done, a lot of sourcing, and before I could settle on some particular vendor, that we have now settled on 3 vendors for our yarn. It was a great challenge. It has taken me more than, I think, nearly 18 months. But yes, we did. We started with 3 very slow. We were very slow when we started. We just had 3 volunteers, and we also didn't know where to give the knockers to. That was another challenge, because yes, one of my relatives took it, but how many more people are there whom I know? So then we had to, sort of, I wouldn't know. We approached through some friend of mine. She said, we have an organization in Bombay, which is catering to screening and all that. So you come look into. We went there. They took a few of our pieces. At that time, we had only about 10 or 15 pieces with us, 20 pieces. They took it from us. We were very happy. Oh my God, 20 pieces have gone to somebody. We were so happy. But then again, the problem is we're going to make more. We had by this time, I think we had about 7 or 8 volunteers. That's it. And the challenges were there. And I had gone to the US. So when I came back again in September, I started hunting for the yarn, and I settled on some yarn. And that increasing awareness is always been a challenge. We call our survivors as beneficiaries. The other challenge was getting the fiber for the knockers to be filled. That was a very big challenge. It was very expensive in the market. And what I was getting in the market, I was not happy with.
Right, yeah.
It was not pure white. It was a slightly yellowish or greenish or grayish color.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, when I researched, I thought it was recycled polyfiber. Whereas in the US, you get very good polyfiber. And the problem with me was, Raisha, I had seen it in the US, right?
Right.
I was constantly comparing the yarn and the fiber with what we have seen there, because I wanted to be the same that the knitted knockers were giving us. And I'm glad to tell you that we have nearly, I would say 90% of my yarn is similar to them, what they have.
That's great.
And also another of the basic challenges we faced was the cost had to be low. If I wanted volunteers, I started it, maybe I could have spent 2,000, 3,000, it's fine.
Right.
But not everybody was going to be doing that. So I had a couple of volunteers who joined us. They said, oh, we have to buy the yarn. I said, yes. Okay, one time it's okay. And what if I want to do it again? You'll have to buy the yarn again. So we needed to look at somebody who really gave us, good quality yarn at a very affordable price for all volunteers to come. These were challenges. We are still having them. We are still going through. We are learning in the process of our challenges.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm also really interested because you said that, finding the yarn was difficult in India itself. So how did you manage that now that you are in 5 different countries? So how did you scale that in the other countries?
The sense, everybody takes the yarn from India.
Okay. All right.
They bring the knockers back to India. I don't give it outside.
Okay.
So I give it only in India. It's only for our Indian cancer survivors. And the yarn has to be from what we have approved, because that is the way knitted knockers are working. They also have a list of approved yarns, different types of yarns. And we are slowly adding it. We started with 1, now we have 3 vendors for it.
Okay.
And there's a lot of sampling that has been going on. I have been purchasing yarn left, right, and center, and sampling, making the knockers, and happy that I'm okay with it or not okay with it. And that is when we start approving the yarns. So it's
right.
a tough, yeah.
So, I mean, even if you are, satisfied with the yarn quality, etc., how do you convince the cancer patients to accept such a different product? Because, it's quite unconventional.
There is no different product. There is no product alone for them.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that is where we have to, getting hold of the beneficiaries is very difficult. That has been a major thing. That has been our real stumbling block, is the awareness is not there. And once the awareness is there to a certain extent, people just love our knockers. Everybody loves them. There is hardly a few of nearly the 4,500 knockers I have given out so far in a rough. I would say hardly 5 or 6 people have said they are not good. 4,500 knockers is roughly maybe 2,000 people, 2,000.
Yeah.
Of which hardly 5 or 7 have said they are not good. And they have their own reasons for it, because they had the scar is not yet there, and because it is an open thing on the back.
Right.
Suggest that you use a cloth and you cover it if you want to, and take it off when you wash it. But yeah, these are things, and when the thing is, when I talk to the beneficiaries, they haven't had an alternative at all. Most of them have either kept a dupatta or they've kept paper. Newspaper rounded up is what they have kept. You try keeping a newspaper, Raisha, on your skin and see how you feel.
Yeah.
So when we tell them that this is there, they just grab it. Actually, for this, as you said, I have personally taken these samples to some of the hospitals. This was before the COVID in 2019. I've gone to the doctors, I've shown them the piece, and that's when they have said, okay, we'll try it out with some patients. And then I've spoken to the patients in the hall, given them this and asked them to use it. So I have taken it around and gone and showed it to them. And that's the only way you can. And when one person has taken it and she's happy, she immediately connects with her in the group and says, for instance, just as the question you asked me, yesterday I got a call from a lady from Tata Hospitals, Bombay. She said, "Aap ye de rahe kya? Free mein de rahe hain?" I said, "Haan, free mein de rahe. Aapko kaisa malum pada?" I just like to know how they got to know. She said, "Nahi, maine Tata Hospital mein back khadi thi, main apne turn ke liye. To baaju mein there was a patient. She told me that you give this."
Right.
So this is something so personal that a woman is prepared to tell another person with the same problem, unlike normal things which we will not share with others. They are prepared to share with you this information.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because actually you're really uniting women, right? Like breasts, and it's a big part of womanhood. So
yes,
it's really beautiful. Yeah. But I mean, you were speaking about going in person during before the pandemic, but how has the supply chain kind of shifted during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, what has happened is we have increased in volunteers numbers out of sheer word of mouth. One volunteer telling the other that, or her friend or her relative, this is a wonderful job I'm doing, it's very nice. And so the volunteers have spread. And then when they spread, they come across people who they know have got cancer, and they're connecting us with them. So that is how we're getting the patients. But then there's another thing I should say is 2020, we did have a lot of media coverage, which has helped us tremendously. It has really helped, because every time there is a media report, there is a spurt in the requests for knockers. And we've been very blessed that way, that people have come forward themselves and asked us for interviews so that we can get covered in the media. We haven't done anything by ourselves. I would say, I'll say from day one that this is God and only the providence which has allowed us to go where we are. And we have a fantastic set of volunteers who will go to any lengths for it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And in fact, getting volunteers to sign up and put in their own, it's not only their effort, but also their own resources. So, and also requiring, say, training and all of that. Yeah. So, sorry.
Yeah, what we do is our volunteers, most of them ask them, see, when they, and the thing is, I have spoken to each and every one of the 200 plus volunteers.
Okay.
I would not take them in without speaking to them, because I want to know and expressively tell them this is the way Saaisha functions. There's absolutely no commercial interesting in it. And there is going to be no fame, no gain from this, except the fact that you will get the blessings of all the people you give your knockers to. That is how I function. And that's what I have told the doctors too. I've actually been told by a couple of doctors, they asked me, what is there in it for me? I said, the blessings of all the women you give it to, which is something you don't get very easily. And I tell you, Raisha, this is genuine blessings that they're giving. I mean, I'm so passionate about it, because the way they bless you, I mean, I don't even know who they are, but they are there and they give you all the blessings. They say, thank you so much. God bless all the entire team of Saaisha is what they tell us. And that is something really wonderful. So that is all that you can ask for, that you can give so much to people.
Definitely. And I think that's, at the end of the day, the true spirit of philanthropy as well. Just giving back without expecting anything in return, except the blessings, of course.
It's just the blessings, nothing else.
Definitely. And I mean, on that note, like, how do you, even like, how do you keep the volunteers committed to that over time and also improve their training, etc.? Because
see, what we are doing is, when the volunteers come in, I speak to them and I tell them that they have to buy the yarn.
Right.
We have started training from 2020 September. till then we were not training. Whatever knockers, we had the patterns and they would individually ask me, I would help them out, and then we didn't even have much of YouTube or anything. The YouTubes were from the knitted knockers had put YouTubes of.
Right. Yes, on your website,
Yeah.
I think the videos.
The Knitted Knockers website have the YouTubes and they were what we were using. But slowly, sometime early 2020, we started making our own YouTube videos for the making of the knockers, because we found that many of the volunteers would not understand the accent of the Americans over there. And they found the videos were very long and they were not able to connect. So I made a couple of videos. Another of my volunteers made a couple of videos, and that's what we put it on our YouTubes. It's not very professional, but it serves a purpose. That's what we're bothered about. And then we said, then our volunteers, we were already nearly about 150 volunteers. Then they said, I was getting all sorts of knockers. I mean, knockers that I couldn't use also, some of them. And I said, I used to feel bad to tell the volunteers, I can't use yours, take it back. So I'd keep it with me and I'll redo it. I'll open it out, wash the yarn, redo it myself. And that was getting to be very difficult. So our volunteers, some of them said, Jayashree, we are about 150 of us now. Why don't we take up training of these women when they come in? So that's how we started training them. We have 3 levels of training, beginners, intermediate, and final. Beginners would be people who have been out of touch with knitting or crochet, or people who want to learn. So then the intermediate would be a second level of it. And the final is when we tell them what is the reason we want you to go for training and why we will refuse the knocker, which is not perfect, and what are the mistakes you're likely to commit. So we explain all that to them. And then we have recently started issuing certificates to those who complete those trainings. And there is going to be a quality analysis being done by one of our trainers, one for knitting, one for crochet. And only when she says it's okay, perfect, we go ahead and ask them to make knockers. We get our volunteers to come join our training with whatever yarn they have and whatever hook or needle they have. They practice the pattern. And then when they are comfortable, we ask them to go ahead and buy the approved yarn. Because what happens, Raisha, sometimes they join you and then they go through the pattern and they feel, I don't think I can do this. But if they purchase the yarn, it's a big waste. So we don't want you to waste. We say, do with whatever you have. Do the pattern. If you're comfortable, then go ahead and purchase the yarn. And then you have to do a sample of the knockers and send it for a quality person, because we're doing it all virtually. I need to see physical sample before I say you can go ahead and make knockers. So we have started to maintain a particular standard, because we need to have the standard, otherwise the shapes are different, the sizes are not the same, we have problems in sizing. So we have started to be a little strict on that. And I'm glad we are doing it, because I've heard some doctors say, the knitted knockers from Saaisha are very good, please take it from them. That is what I want to hear, that particular volunteers.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Definitely, that's great. And I mean, since you are getting volunteers, I think in a way, maybe the pandemic has helped, because you've gotten volunteers from so many different places.
We had a couple of, I had some very good friends in the Middle East.
Okay.
So started this project in 2018. They said in 2018, middle of 2018, she said, let me try and get some volunteers here for you. And that's how it started in the Middle East.